We're surrounded by these unbelievably complex systems. Think about the energy grid that powers our entire world, or even the biological network inside our own bodies. So the big question is, how do we even begin to manage them? Well, we're about to dive into two totally different answers, one that builds intelligence from the outside in, and another that looks for it from the inside out.
So, really, how do you manage something so complicated it almost seems to have a mind of its own? As we're about to see, the answer really depends on what kind of intelligence you're trying to tap into.
Okay, so we're looking at two totally different paths here. On one side, you've got artificial intelligence. It's all about data, code, and it's designed specifically for machines. But on the other side, there's this concept of inner intelligence. This is consciousness-based, and according to one of our sources, it's something that's just naturally part of our bodies. Let's kick things off with AI.
All right. First up, let's take a look at how we're building intelligence from scratch, from the outside using AI to run our most critical energy systems. And get this isn't some far-off idea. McKinsey & Company says that when you combine AI with digital tech, you can boost the productivity of our energy infrastructure by a whopping 20%. I mean, by optimizing literally everything, AI is a total game changer for making things run better.
So what kinds of problems is AI actually solving? Well, let's take solar power. It's got two really big hurdles. First, it's intermittent, right? The sun isn't always shining. And second, there's energy storage. Our batteries right now can only hold so much power, and they can get pretty expensive. This is exactly where AI comes in. AI tackles these issues in three really smart ways. First, it uses predictive analytics, basically forecasting how much energy will be produced using tons of data. Then it does what's called dynamic optimization, which means it's constantly adjusting the system in real time to be as efficient as possible. And finally, it uses anomaly detection to spot problems, like equipment failures, way before they become big disasters. And the result? A grid that's not just powerful, but smarter and way more resilient. We're talking about preventing sudden blackouts, making really expensive parts last a lot longer, and just making sure the whole system is running at its absolute best. It's intelligence, built and applied from the outside. Okay, now, let's completely switch gears. We're going to pivot to a totally different way of thinking. We're leaving the world of power grids and algorithms and heading into the inner world of the human body to explore this radical idea that maybe, just maybe, the intelligence we need is already inside us. This one quote from the source material Quantum Healing just perfectly sums up this whole second idea. Every cell in your body is eavesdropping on your thoughts. It suggests this deep, constant conversation is happening between our minds and our bodies, that every thought we have is being tracked at the cellular level. Now, to really get this perspective, it helps to see what it's pushing back against. Our source lays out two main principles of conventional science. First is materialism, the idea that everything has to have a physical cause. The second is reductionism, where you break the body down into its individual parts to study it. The critique here is that this approach can completely miss the role of the mind, and it doesn't see the body as one big interconnected system. So you might be wondering, how could a thought, something that feels like it's not physical, actually affect the physical body? Well, the author of Quantum Healing points to what he calls messenger molecules, or neurotransmitters. The idea is that these chemicals are like translators. They take what's happening in our minds, our emotions, our memories, and turn them into chemical signals that the rest of the body can understand and react to. To bring this idea to life, the book shares this incredible story of a patient named Chitra. So the story goes, she was diagnosed with terminal cancer, and conventional medicine had basically run out of options. She was then prescribed a treatment that was all about getting her body into a state of profound rest. And after a high fever, the book says her doctors couldn't find a single trace of cancer left. This is presented as a powerful example of the body's hidden potential to heal itself.
And this idea might not be as far-fetched as it sounds. The source points to a big shift happening in mainstream thought. It cites a 2008 announcement from a top-tier institution, the MD Anderson Cancer Center, which stated that a staggering 90 to 95% of cancers are rooted not in our genes, but in our environment and lifestyle.
But, and this is super important, the author of Quantum Healing offers a huge caveat himself. He's very clear that right now, conventional therapy has a big edge. He says that these alternative ideas haven't been proven to be more effective in long-term studies. So he's really presenting this as a new frontier to be explored, not as settled science.
So we've got these two completely different stories of intelligence. Let's pull back and put them side by side to really see what's going on. And wow, when you lay it all out, the contrast is it's stark. One approach uses external, data-driven intelligence with code as its main tool, all to make our machines more efficient. The other proposes using our internal, conscious intelligence, with the mind as its main tool, to achieve well-being in our bodies.
It really all boils down to this. One paradigm is about meticulously building intelligence from the outside and programming it into a system. The other is about discovering and unlocking an intelligence that might already be within us, just waiting to be tapped. These are two powerful but fundamentally different ways of seeing the world.
And that really leaves us with one final massive question to chew on. As we move forward, trying to solve ever more complex problems, which approach will end up being more powerful? The intelligence we engineer from scratch or the intelligence we are? The answer to that is probably going to shape everything to come.